If you're a Maths Foundation student and you're looking for a walkthrough, then this paper's for you. This is paper 1, May 2022. Let's get into it. This question is a conversion question. So we have 40 centimeters into millimeters. If we use our conversions, we know that 1 centimeter is the same as 10 millimeters, which means we have to times that centimeters by 10. So we do 40 times 10, 40 times 10, which gives us 400 millimeters. Reflection. So this point is on the line, and so is this one, so they're going to stay as they are. This point, however, you can see that's 3 units to the right, so we're going to reflect that 3 units to the left and move that point over here, and we're just going to connect these like so. Place value, we're just going to look at the 6 in this number, 16,007. That 6 is in the thousand column, so we're just going to put 6,000 for that. Okay, fractions, decimal percentages. In this question, we need to order these numbers. It's probably easiest to get them all into either fraction, decimal percentage, but I'd say percentage in this case. So half is 50%. If we convert this decimal, that's going to be 55%. And now it's easier to order them because they're all in percentages. So the smallest number is 45%. Then it's going to be a half. And then it's going to be 0.55. We're looking at pictograms. So the key says that sun represents 2 hours of sunshine. Work out the number of sunshine on Saturday. Well, that's going to be 2 times 4 because there's 4 of them. And that's 8 hours of sunshine. Okay, a bit of problem solving with money. Okay, so Simon buys some candles that each cost £2, pays with a £20 note and gets £6 change. Work out how many candles he bought. So we spent £20 and got £6 change. So let's minus that. So that gives us £14. So we must have spent £14 on candles. Each candle costs £2. Let's do 14 divided by 2 to work out how many candles there are. And we get 7. So 7 candles. Okay, we're looking at a bar chart in the next question. So it says, in May the total rainfall was 35. In June the rainfall was 20. Use this information to complete the bar chart. Okay, so May I'll go up to 35. So I have to go up to here and draw that in. And in June it goes up to 20 centimeters, so I'll draw it up to here. There we go. Rupert says in February there was 15.5 of rainfall because the bar is half a square above 15. Explain why Rupert is incorrect. So if we go to Feb, you can actually see that she's correct in saying it's half a square above, but halfway between 15 and 20 is actually 17.5. Yeah, so halfway represents 17.5, not 15.5. Yeah, you can explain it a bit better, but yeah, there we go. Okay, we're looking at patterns in this question. On the grid below, draw pattern number 5. So you can see we've got a square in pattern 1, and then a square joins it on the end, on each end, and it just keeps adding squares on each end. So pattern number 5 is going to have 5 squares down and 5 squares right, if you see what I mean. So we're going to go down 5, like so, and right 5 as well. That's going to be pattern number 5. Complete the table. So pattern 1 has 1 square, pattern 2 has 3 squares, pattern 3 has 5 squares, pattern 4 has 7 squares. So you can see each time we're adding 2 squares. You can see that jump. We're adding 2 each time. So this one's going to be 9, and then we're going to get 11, and that's it. Okay, we're looking at temperature in this question. So in Norway last year, lowest temperature was minus 15. In Norway last year, the highest temperature was 42 Celsius, greater than the lowest temperature. Work out the highest temperature. So we need to do minus 15 plus 42, and that's going to give us 27 degrees Celsius, I believe. Yeah, 27. So a bit of problem solving in this question. At the end of October, Fiona's electricity meter reads this number here. At the end of November, the next month, her meter reads this number here. Each kilowatt hour of electricity that she uses costs 16 pence. Work out how much she had to pay for the electricity she used in November. So we need to work out how much she actually used in November. To do that, we subtract the beginning amount from the new amount. So we do 89198 minus 88738. 8 minus 8 is 0, 9 minus 3 is 6. We need to borrow from that 9 and carry the 1. 11 minus 7 is 4. 8 minus 8 is 0 and 0 again. So that gives us 460. 460 kilowatt hours. And remember, each kilowatt hour costs us 16 pence. So let's times that by 16. So, 460 times by 16. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 6 is 36. Put the 6 there, carry the 3. 6 times 4 is 24. Remember the 3 that we carried, so that's going to be 27 when we add it on. Placeholder, put your 0 there. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. And then we add these bits. 0 plus 0 is 0. 6. 13, carry the 1. So then that's going to be 7 altogether with the 1 carried. So she had to pay 7,360 pence. But I'm going to put that in pounds and put 73 pounds 60 pence like that. We're looking at fractions now. So when adding fractions, they should have the same denominator. So we're going to change that second fraction by timesing top and bottom by 2, because that'll give us a denominator of 12 as well. So we're going to get 2 on the top, 12 on the bottom. Just add the numerators. 5 plus 2 is 7. Denominator stays the same. That's our answer, 7/12. This question here, 3/10 times 5/8. Well, first of all, we're going to cross cancel by dividing 10 by 5 and that 5 by 5, and that's going to leave us with 1 there, 2 there, which makes it easier for us to times now. So 3 times 1 is 3, and 2 times 8 is 16, and we leave it like that. That is its simplest form. Okay, we're looking at probability in this question. There are 15 sweets in a jar. 4 of the sweets are red. Jill takes a sweet at random from the jar. What's the probability that it's red? Well, there are 4 red sweets, and altogether there are 15 sweets in the jar. So 4 15ths. Second part, there are only green counters and blue counters in the bag. Counters taken at random. Probability that the counter's green is 0.3. What's the probability that it's blue? Okay, so that's going to be 1 minus 0.3, and that gives us 0.7 for blue counters. Next question, we have substitution. Y equals 6x minus 5. Work out the value of y when x equals 4. So we need to sub x into this equation, into that part there, and work out what y would be. So y equals 6 times 4, because we're subbing that in, minus 5. We do the multiplication first, giving us 24 minus 5. So y equals 19. Okay, so multiplication problems. 15a, work out an estimate for the value of 92 times 1.63. Non-calculator, so it really is going to be an estimate. I'm going to do 90, round that to 90, and then round that to 2. 90 times 2, that's 180. That's that. This part B, given that 2.96 times 3.2 equals 9.472, find the value of this. So you can see these numbers have been manipulated a little bit. So that 2.96 has been changed to 29.6. So you can see that's been times by 10. So that's been times by 10. Let's look at what's happened to the 3.2. Again, that's been times by 10. So when finding the new answer, we have to times that also by 10 twice, because that's the left side's been times by 10 twice. So we times this by 10 and times it by 10 again. So same as times it by 100, which is going to move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So we'll end up with 947.2, and that's it. We're looking at a speed, distance, time question. Savio leaves his house at 7:30 to drive to work. He drives a distance of 50 miles. He thinks he drives at an average speed of 40 miles per hour. If he's correct, what time will he arrive at work? Okay, so we have his distance and we have his average speed. So if we write our triangle, so speed equals distance over time. But in this case, we need the time. So time equals distance over speed. Okay, so our distance is 50 and our speed is 40. So that gives us 5/4 when we simplify. And as a decimal, that gives us 1.25. So we've got 1 hour and a quarter hour. So that's 1 hour and 15 minutes. So we need to add that on to the time 7:30, which means he will arrive at 8:45. For the next question, it says, in fact, Savio's average speed was greater than 40 miles per hour. How would that affect our answer? Well, if he's driving faster, he's going to arrive earlier. So he will arrive earlier. That's it. Okay, so we're looking at probability. 72 people did a test. 20 of the 32 adults who did the test passed. Six of the children who did the test failed. Use information to complete the frequency tree. So 72 people did a test. We know that, so let's put that there. 20 of the 32 adults who did the test passed. So if we look at adults, we know 32 did it and 20 passed. And then 6 of the children who did the test failed. So children failed, we put here 6. Okay, we can work out this branch because these two branches should add up to the number we have here, 32. So 32 minus 20, that gives us 12. So 12 must have failed. And then these two branches, 32 and this blank one, should add up to 32. So it should add up to 72. So we do 72 minus 32 to get this one. That's going to give us 40. And then same for these two. These two should add up to the 40 there. So 40 minus 6, that's 34. And that's it complete. Then it says one of these people was picked at random. Find the probability that this person is an adult who failed the test. So if it's an adult who failed the test, we go to adults that failed. There's 12. So that would be 12 out of 72. And that's it. Okay, we've got a recipe question. Here's a list of ingredients making 10 scones. Mia wants to make 25 scones. Work out how much sugar she needs. Well, you can see this ingredient list is for 10. We need to make 25. So if you look at scale factor, I guess, you can see that we need 2.5 times the ingredients we have, because 10 times 2.5 gives us 25. So we need to work out how much sugar she needs. Again, that's going to be 2.5 more than what we have here. So there we got 40 grams. We're going to times that by 2.5, and that's going to give us 100 grams. And that's the answer. Next question says to increase 240 by 20%. To do this, I'd probably work out 10%, times it by 2 and add that on. So 10% of 240 is 24. We just divide that by 10. So 20% is 48, times it by 2. So that means 120% is going to be 240 plus 48, which is our answer, 288. Okay, so here we have a fraction question. It says 5/8 of rectangle A is shaded. So I'm just going to put 5/8 there. And then at the top, that means we're going to have 3/8 not shaded. Rectangle C, 9/11 is shaded. So we're going to put that there, which means 2/11 is not shaded. Let me write that again. work out the fraction of b that is shaded. So this is what we need to work out. We know the top of it's going to be 3/8, and we know the bottom is going to be 2/11. So I think the best thing to do here is to get these denominators to be the same. So we've got 3/8 and we have 2/11. So the best way to make them the same is to do times that side by 11 and times this side by 8. So we end up with 33/88 and 16/88. And then we add these together and we see what's left, and that'll be x. So when we add these together, we get 49/88. So then what's left must be 88 minus 49. So that's going to be 39, I believe. 39/88. Okay, stem and leaf diagram. So you should know how these work. So for example, let me do the key first. So what's our smallest number? 17. So to write 17, we'd put a 1 before the line and a 7 after it, and that is how we represent 17. Okay, so let's go through and we're going to do our stem and leaf diagram, and it has to be in order. So put our 1 there. It goes up to the highest number, I think, is 47. So we're just going to write 1 through to 4. So we've got 17. 7 there. I think that's the only one. Then we look at our 20s. Smallest 20 is 25, I think. So we've got 5, 5, 7, 7, 27, 3 times. I've missed the 26, just realised. Let's do the 26 first. And then the 3 7s. Then the 28. And then 29. Then let's look at the 30. Oh gosh, I've missed the 19 up here. Let's put the 19 in. That's why I'm underlining these numbers, so I know which ones I've done and which one I haven't. I wouldn't recommend crossing them out just in case you need to look at what number it was. Then we go to the 30, so 33, got 33, and then 37 twice. Then we look at the 40s, 45 and 47. Then we just double check that we have 15 numbers, 1, 2, 5. Yeah, that's it. We've got a cylinder question. Centimeter grid shows the plan and the front elevation of a cylinder. Work out the volume of the cylinder, giving your answers in terms of pi. So when it says in terms of pi, we're going to leave pi in our answer. So to work out the volume of a cylinder, so I'm just going to draw one here quickly. We work out this area, so that's just pi r squared, because it's the area of a circle, and then we times it by the length or the height, depending on which way the cylinder is orientated. So times length. Okay, so in this question, it looks like our cylinder is going to have a circle with radius of 3, and that's the front elevation. Standing upright, kind of like that. So it's going to have a height of 5. So it's going to have a height of 5. Okay, so work out volume of the cylinder. So it's going to be pi 3 squared, and then its height is 5. So then we times it by 5. So we simplify that down a bit. 3 squared is 9. Still need to times the 5. So 9 times 5 is 45. So we put 45 pi, and that's it. Solving inequalities. So we solve them very similar to the way we solve equations. There are a few things that could be different when sometimes we have to flip the sign, but I don't think we do in this case. So first step is going to be to add 27 to both sides. Add 27 there, add 27. That's going to give me 7x is smaller than 35. Then at this stage we divide by 7 on both sides to keep it balanced. So x is less than 5. And that's it. Next question, we're looking at prime factors. So write 124 as a product of its prime factors. So I like to start with the smallest prime number possible that will go into it, which is 2. So 2 divided by 124, 62. Then we go for 2 again because even gives us 31, and 31's prime. So our final answer is 2 squared times 31. In this question, we need to express a number as a product of its prime factors. So when I'm breaking these numbers down, I like to start off with the lowest prime factor possible. So we've got 124. The lowest prime is going to be 2. So 124 divided by 2 is going to give us 62. Again, I can use 2. It's going to give us 31. And then at this stage, I think that's it. Yeah, at this stage, that's it. So we just write it out as 2 times 2 times 31, and that's our answer. Or you can put 2 squared times 31. Up to you. In this question, we're going to be looking at ratios, fractions, and percentages. So the first step here is to look at the ratio that we're given. So the number of cars and number of vans is in a ratio of 3 to 7. So we add that 3 and the 7 together to give us 10 parts. And then we're going to do 160 divided by that 10 parts to give us how many vehicles, cars or vans each part represents. So one part is equal to 16. So we know if I draw a little table here, cars and vans, altogether there are 3 times 16 cars, which are 48, and then the rest are going to be vans. So 7 times 16, that's going to give us 112. Then we look at this next step here. So an 8th of the cars use electricity. So if I do a column there for electricity, an 8th of them use electricity. So we need to do an 8th times by 48. So 48 divided by 8, which gives us 6. So 6 cars use electricity. 25% of the cars use diesel, so I'm going to do another column there. So we're going to do 48 divided by 4, because that will give us 25% or a quarter, and that is 12. And then it says the rest of the cars use petrol. So to work that out, we're just going to do 48 minus the electric and diesel cars, so minus 6 minus 12. So that's 48 minus 18. In this question, we're going to be looking at standard form. In the first part, part A, we need to change that standard form to an ordinary number. So 1.63 times 10 to the power of minus 3, that's just going to move your decimal 3 places to the left. So we'll end up with 0.00163. Okay. Part B. Part B, we need to change this ordinary number into standard form. So you need to remember that with standard form, the first part needs to be between 1 and 10. So we're going to put our decimal in between the 4 and the 3. So we get 4.38, and we need to times it by 10 to the power of how many jumps there are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 jumps to make it this ordinary number. So 10 to the power of 5. So in part C, we start off by timesing these numbers on the left together. So 4 times 6, giving us 24. And then we move on and times a 10 to the power of 3 and a 10 to the power of minus 5. And when multiplying these out, we add the indices together. So we get minus 2, 10 to the minus 2. If you look here, we've got a 24. So that means it's not quite in standard form. As I said at the beginning, it needs to be in between 1 and 10. So we make that 2.4, and we do that by dividing this side by 10, which means we need to times this side by 10 to keep the number the same. So we end up adding an indice to this one, making it 10 to the minus 1. And that's our final answer. In this question, we're looking at angles and polygons. So we can see we have a hexagon on the left here and a pentagon on the right. And the question's asking us to find this angle X. So if we are to split this shape into two, like that, and I'm going to call this angle X and this angle Y. Angle X is the external angle of our hexagon, and angle Y is the external angle of our pentagon. The formula to work out external angles is 360 divided by the number of sides. And so to work out X, we're going to do 360 divided by 6, which is going to give us 60 degrees. And then for the shape on the right, the pentagon, we're going to do 360 divided by 5, which gives us 72 degrees. And then we add together 60 degrees and 72 degrees to find the original X value that they asked for. And that gives us 132 degrees. In this question, we're going to be looking at quadratics. So the first thing we need to do is complete this table above. To do that, we need to sub our X value into the equation up here in order to get the Y values that are missing. So if we were to sub minus 1 into this equation, we'd get 5 for the value of Y. If we were to sub 2 in, we'd get minus 1 again, and here we'd get 1, and if we sub 4 in, we get 5. Part B, we need to draw this graph on this grid below. So we start at minus 1, go to 5, 0, we go to 1, 1 we go to minus 1, minus 1 again, 3 we go to 1, and at 4 we go to 5. And then we're going to join these lines up with a curve. So we go down like this, go slightly past those 2 points and join it up there. Part C wants us to find estimates for the solution to this equation here. If you notice, this equation is the same as this equation above, except y now equals 0. So we find the line where y equals 0, which is just the x-axis, and we see where that line crosses the graph. So it crosses the graph, the curve that we drew at these 2 points here. And we're going to read the x values from the graph. So this x value here is going to be roughly 0.5. And the x value here is going to be about 2.5. And there'll be our two answers for part C. In this question, we're going to be looking at density, mass, and volume. So we've got two cubes here. We're given the mass, but we need to work out the density of cube A and the density of cube B in terms of their ratio. Okay, so to work out the density of cube A, we're going to use the formula. Let's write out our triangle first. So we've got density there, mass at the top, and volume there. So I'm assuming you know how to use the triangle. But first of all, cube A, let's put it over there, cube B over here. We've got, let's work out the volume. So the volume of cube A is going to be 3 cubed, which equals 27. Volume of B is going to be 4. It's going to be 4 cubed, and that equals 64. Let me just put the units in. Next, we're going to work out the density, because now we have the volume and we have the mass. So density equals mass divided by volume. So for cube A, it's going to be 81 divided by 27. Sorry, 27. We get 3. And we do the same over here for cube B. So our mass is 128. And we're going to divide that by our volume, which is 64. And that gives us 2. So the ratio is just going to be 3 to 2. This question, you need to know your exact trigonometry values. It says write down the value of sine 30, and you should know that that's a half. If you're not sure about these questions, I'm going to do a video on exact trig value. But if you need to find out now, then just Google the best way to work them out.